no deal has been made yet, and Congress is set to go on recess in just a few hours. President Biden speaking about negotiations for the first time since Sunday. Here's a little bit of what he said in the Rose Garden today.
Speaker McCarthy and I have had several productive conversations, and our staffs continue to meet as we speak, as a matter of fact, and they're making progress. I've made clear time and again defaulting on our national debt is not an option. The American people deserve to know that the Social Security payments will be there, the veterans' hospitals remain open, and that economic progress will be made, and we're going to continue to make it. Default puts all that at risk. Congressional leaders understand that, and they've all agreed there will be no default. And it's time for Congress to act now.
So lawmakers have been told that they will have to return to D.C. within 24 hours if an agreement is announced. So for more, let's bring in senior Washington correspondent at Politico and author of the Playbook newsletter, Rachael Bade. She's joining me live from Capitol Hill today. Rachel, great to see you. So, all right, let's dish here. Your sources, what are they telling you about how things are being left with these negotiations?
Yeah, Kira, a lot of positive vibes up here on Capitol Hill before lawmakers left for their Memorial Day recess. Republicans have been saying that they think a deal could come together as soon as tomorrow. Democrats were told by their own leadership in a private meeting this morning that they should prepare to come back to Washington as soon as Tuesday night to vote on a deal. And I'm hearing from sources that in terms of the difference in what the government funding should look like in the future years, Republicans and the White House are getting closer and closer, but they are still tens of billions of dollars apart from an agreement. And now the question I have, that is on the top of my mind is how much of this is real progress and how much of this is just happy talk to calm the markets? There's a lot of concern up here about some news that broke late last night that one of the top U.S. credit rating agencies is putting the U.S. on notice to downgrade their credit. And now if that were to happen, lawmakers know that the financial markets could go in a total tailspin, and they're worried about that. So how much of this is really proof that they are just, a little bit away from an agreement, and how much of this is them trying to calm things down?
Right, and we've been talking about that all day, and Kevin McCarthy keeps coming forward saying, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to come to a deal. But from your reporting, right, there are some Democrats that are, well, they want to stay on the Hill. They're reluctant to leave with a lot at stake here. What are they telling you?
Yeah, it's a bit of a sore subject for House Democrats right now. They privately behind the scenes, I've been hearing from a lot of Democratic lawmakers that they are concerned that the White House is totally botching these negotiations, especially the messaging war with the public. If you look at some polling, there is signs that the public is increasingly sympathetic to the Republican argument that to raise the debt ceiling, you also need to cut spending. And Democrats up here on the Hill have told me that they think that's because Biden is not using his bully pulpit to sort of make the case about what spending cuts would mean for average Joe Americans. Things like, limited affordable housing or Social Security changes, et cetera, like things to veterans programs. And because of that, Democrats have sort of made the strategy change this week where they are trying to be more vocal and pushing back against Speaker Kevin McCarthy. You've seen Hakeem Jeffries, a Democrat from New York who is leading House Democrats, come out and do more gaggles with reporters. So there is some disagreement on that. And then Democrats are also wanting to stay here. Some Democrats pushed back against their own leadership in a meeting yesterday, I was hearing from sources, saying we should stay in town and we should be doing press conferences every hour to say, look, Republicans are leaving Washington when we could potentially see a default in a number of days. Why are they leaving? We should be here to sort of give that optical difference and show the sort of side-by-side between Democrats and Republicans. Now, Democratic leaders chose not to do that. They sent their members home. But, we'll see if they try to step up their game over the weekend. Nobody's here, so that's going to be difficult for them.
So taking a look at social, senators like Utah Republican Mike Lee saying that he will use every procedure to impede a debt ceiling deal that does not contain spending and budget reforms. The GOP is not giving on this.
Yeah, I think Senator Lee's comments there are really foreshadowing a foreshadowing a conservative revolt to come. And he's not the only one. The House Freedom Caucus just a few hours ago sent a letter to Speaker Kevin McCarthy, saying, look, we passed a Republican bill out of the House. If you give too many concessions to Democrats, you're going to be in trouble with us. And you're also starting to see Trump allies go on social media and on television saying that they're worried that McCarthy's about to strike a deal with Democrats that will be terrible for the Republican Party. Now, Republicans were always going to lose conservatives. I mean, it's sort of impossible to strike a bipartisan deal where you keep all, sides of, the Republican Party and Democratic Party happy. The reality is that any bipartisan deal is likely to lose conservatives and also progressives on the left. But the question I think McCarthy faces is how many conservatives is he going to lose? If he loses the majority of the majority, if he loses most of his House Republicans, his own speakership could actually be on the line, and he could potentially face a motion to vacate to take the gavel away from him. And so I think that is obviously hanging over his head in these talks, and that's why he's having to tread very carefully when it comes to this agreement.
Wow, that's interesting. That's actually the first time we've sort of delved into a scenario like that. So we should watch that. Definitely talk more about that, Rachel. I'd be interested to see what your sources say about that becoming a reality. Meanwhile, you heard the president. He said a little bit in the Rose Garden today when he was introducing his nomination for the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Do you think that he is instilling any confidence in the American people right now that a deal will be made?
They're certainly trying to, right? And that's why you keep hearing the same word over and over again. That's progress, progress, progress. And I do think it's important to note that in 2011, when another credit rating agency actually downgraded the U.S. credit rating from a AAA to a AA, that actually spurred a deal here on Capitol Hill. That happened in the middle of another very similar debt ceiling standoff. And so I think that lawmakers are looking at this warning from the credit agency last night that said, look, you guys are on notice. And they want to sort of calm people down, and the goal would be to get to an agreement before such a downgrade were to happen. Now, again, they're running out of time right now. June 1st is next week, and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has said she doesn't know how many days past June 1st she can continue to pay the country's bills. So there's not a lot of time here.
Rachael Bade, love having you. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.